Hey there friends, thanks for checking in. Last weekend I took a carbine training class at Top Gun Shooting Sports. It was a 5-hour class. The instruction was outstanding. The guys I was training with were great. We had all kinds of firearms there. We were able to learn from each other of what gear worked, what gear certain people liked. The class itself, I learned a lot of skills, everything from various shooting positions to move and shoot, shooting around barriers, transitioning from carbine to handgun and so forth. That part was outstanding, but it didn't take long before I realized that I wasn't prepared as well as I should have been because my gear failed. All right. So the rifle that I used was my Colt 6920. The rifle itself was fine. The Amend 2 mags that I used were great. 30 round Amend 2 mags. Those worked outstanding as well. But the very first drill was simply firing at our target, making sure that our optic was sighted in. And here I have, it's an older EOTech, but it's always performed well for me. And I realized after shooting it a couple times that it was way off. Now, I've always had this sighted in. I felt comfortable with it. I was like, this will be no problem for me. And I was way off. So I had to adjust it. And then a half hour later, the optic just went away. It was gone. Now, prior to the class, I put new batteries in here, so that wouldn't happen. It was not a battery issue. The optic completely failed. So thankfully, I had a backup sight here and an A2 front. I was able to use that, but I wasn't able to remove the optic because I would need an Allen wrench right there. So if we look at the newer EOTechs, had I used this optic, I could have just done a quick turn of that and remove the optic itself, and I could have used just iron sights and it would have been fine. But I wanted to use an optic. Everybody there had optics and it's quicker when transitioning and so forth. I wasn't able to do that the rest of the time, plus my sight was off. That's on me. I should have had better preparation prior to that. Now I will say that EOTech, after contacting them, offered me to send that in and they would give me a 50% discount on a certain page, everything they have on that site. So I'm good with that, all right? But I'm not good with that thing failing in a carbine class, which was the last thing I wanted or expected. Another thing that I noticed is that my rifle sling was about as basic as you could get. It was fine. It did what it had to do. It came with the rifle when I purchased it, but I was watching some of the other guys, and even on some of the other firearms that I own, I have much better rifle slings. And when you're transitioning and then you're going from strong side to weak side, offhand shooting and things like that, it makes a difference. And so if you're just using basic bottom of the barrel rifle slings or other types of gear, it's going to show up when you do a training class like this. Now what I have here is a Grove Tech single point sling. I've got this for my AR pistol. It works great. There are so many adjustments, various things I could do with it. Had I planned something like this with that carbine, I would have had a better experience. So not only did my optic go out, but my rifle sling was not that hot for what we were doing. The message for this video is plan for your gear to fail and do everything you can to make sure that that doesn't happen. I learned a valuable lesson. Next time I take a training class like this, or next time I go shooting, I'm going to check everything out in advance. We spend so much time worrying about our firearm and our ammo and our magazines and things like that, but what about everything else we use to make those drills happen, or everything else we use in every scenario that we can think of, and how could that fail? And if it could fail, we have to plan on that it will fail and do everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen. That's my message here. Next time I take a training class or just go shooting, I'm going to study my gear, figure out what I have, what I don't have, see how it's working, make sure my optics are fine, and move on from there. If you don't, you will notice in a situation like this, when something fails and you feel like you are being left behind. If you like videos like this, please subscribe and share. I always appreciate thumbs up button. Thanks for watching, and you guys be safe.